Good Friday morning. This is the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for this Friday, January 13th. Looking at observed precipitation in the past 7 days on the left, you can see that across the area, moderate to heavy amounts. The first two shades of green are anywhere from a ½ inch to an inch. Areas in yellow, 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Locally higher amounts, especially across the western portion of the Great Basin along the Sierra front, where they've been getting dumped on at record proportions. And also the same story since January 1st, very stormy for about the northern half, northern 2/3 of our geographic area. The only exceptions down here in southern Nevada, where precipitation has been fairly light, but they're currently getting precipitation even down there. So fuels, for the most part, are either very wet or snow-covered, perhaps pile burning the main option in the short term. Here's a look at the infrared satellite imagery with upper-level maps superimposed. You can see deep low pressure off the southern California coast continues to drop further south, pulling in tons of subtropical moisture into Arizona and into parts of Utah. However, we have high pressure ridging in northern areas, which should see the least amount of cloud cover. So this storm system is something that's going to influence our weather in the short term. Further back upstream, another series of deep low pressure systems out in the northern Pacific should approach us by the middle of next week. Here's a look at this afternoon's upper-level map. We can see deep low pressure off the southern California coast, providing lots of moisture given by the green and dark green shades where precipitation is expected or likely to occur. Flows mainly from the south, so the vicinity of low pressure on the right-hand side, good overall dispersion where we see the white and yellow and even some of the red shades. Only confinement may be up into the mountains of central Idaho, where they are a bit further away from that low pressure system, hence the inversions lasting a little bit longer. If we break it down through transport winds, you can see strongest in the southern areas closest to that storm system, much lighter transport flow further to the north. And you can see mixing heights quite low once you get into our central and northern areas. Could be overcome by horizontal transport across parts of central Nevada and Utah. Once you get further up north, it's a combination of light winds and also low mixing heights. Not a good deal. And in the short term, as we go into Saturday, that deep low pressure continues to actually sink further south, so providing stormy conditions for maybe for our far southern and southeastern areas. But you see drier air poking into Wyoming, Idaho, and parts of northern Nevada and Utah. And on the right-hand side, since that's high pressure, it's kind of building back in across those areas. We see that our dispersion or overall dispersion is actually quite worse, where you see the areas in the purple better as you head farther to the south. Breaking that down, transport winds, again, no surprise, further south, closer to the storm, we have good transport flow, lighter as you head further north. Mixing heights for much of the area, especially the northern 2/3 of the geographic area, fairly poor, which is not surprising this time of year. And on Sunday, that low continues to undercut our region, cutting across right along the Mexico, Arizona, New Mexico border. Storminess through there, but drier air with weak high pressure holding across much of the Great Basin, and that's reflected by the mixing heights gradually decreasing as we go through the weekend. Again, here are the transport winds on the left and mixing heights on the right. And looking at our Utah Clearing Index as we go through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can see that the southeastern areas are the ones that will have the best dispersion for today. Worse, where you see the purple shades, and overall dispersion gets worse in all areas as we head through the weekend and high pressure builds in. Here's our 3-day precipitation totals from Friday morning through Monday morning. You can see the significant amounts across southern Nevada, over 1 inch in some areas, and that's getting pretty close to the Vegas area. Also southeastern Utah, but it gets quite a bit drier as you head further north. So taking a peek further down the road as we go into Monday afternoon, that storm system is pushing off to our east. We actually have dry northerly flow across much of the Great Basin. Our ventilation index shows the best ventilation or dispersion in the southern areas. Going towards Tuesday, again, we're kind of in between high and low pressure, but we have a ridge of high pressure kind of nosing into the Great Basin through here, but some moisture now starting to come in from the north as a stronger storm system this time starts pushing into the Pacific Northwest, so keep an eye on that. As we go into Wednesday, a pretty strong storm system now developing, and expect to push lots of moisture into the region by the middle of the week. These ventilation indices, mainly due to the fact that with lack of sun, the mixing heights might not get very high, but that should be overcome in a lot of areas by the stronger transport flow. And looking down the road for Thursday with this area in the dark green, that means widespread clouds and precipitation. Finally being under that stormy pattern, our ventilation index should start improving in some areas where you see the white, but still fairly poor in those purple areas. Our precipitation accumulation, this is Monday morning through Wednesday morning, just starting to skirt into much of the Great Basin, starting to see some more significant amounts of a ½ inch to an inch here in the mountains of Idaho, but this heavy precipitation should be pushing in a bit later, perhaps late Wednesday into Thursday of next week. And we are looking at actually a very cool and very wet pattern as we go to the 8 to 14 day outlook, which takes us through January 20th through the 28th. Below normal temperatures and significantly better chances of above normal precipitation for just about the entire area. This concludes our briefing. Since this coming Monday is a federal holiday, next Tuesday will be our next smoke dispersion briefing. Have a great weekend.